Hey guys, so today we are doing a tier list for Rainbow Six Siege operators. Which ones, in my opinion, are the best in the game, and some that could use a rework. In fact, uh, well, maybe I can remove one. Yeah, we'll do needs a rework. Because technically, you'd say all bad ones. Here, we'll just call it rework actually, so it doesn't take up too much space there. All right. So to start it off, Deimos, the new op. Um, so I'm gonna explain this first. So I have over 2,500 hours in the game. My opinion is definitely biased towards some of the operators, and I've played Deimos enough to get a general idea of him. Um, So with him, he is an operator that really relies, and I mean, it applies to all operators in the game, but especially some compared to others, that you really have to, for him to be very, very good, he needs to be in the hands of a very good player. He can shoot through soft wall, obviously, while tracking a target, but the downside is he gets, his position gets known by the opposing team, as well as he can only use his pistol, which, unless you are absolutely great at the game, you are going to lose a decent amount of gunfights if all you can use is the pistol. I think he is probably on the higher end of mid-tier operators, because as time has gone on, you did see him upon release being played a lot, but as time has gone on, I've noticed less and less players playing as him, and that is for good reason. Number two, Sledge. Sledge is one of my favorites. Um, he, I'm going to say, is one of the lower tier on Great. He with his hammer has a bunch of use. You can use it to smash out floors, to shoot down, or to make a hole to shoot up at enemies in key areas on the map. You get grenades as one of your gadgets as well, and it was even better when you could cook them. I hate the game for removing that feature, but Sledge is a very, very good operator. I'd say he's in the bottom part of great, but he is still a great operator to use for especially the attack. I love using him. You can open up avenues to extra avenues to flank, which is absolutely wonderful. Thatcher, so if you have a team who can either bandit trick properly or use cage traps properly, you're gonna have a lot of pains playing as Thatcher. But if you are queued up with your hard breacher and you are actually coordinating, it is actually quite easy to get past these issues. The only problem is if you're playing solo compared to with a group, I would rank him very differently depending on that. I'm going to say he is good. He, for the most part, can help get rid of a lot of defender gadgets that are a general pain to deal with, and he's just an all-around solid operator. Smoke, I'd say Smoke fits in there as well. Yeah, I'd say Thatcher's still better than him, but they're pretty good. And I'm gonna put all these in like exact order in the tiers. I'm not just gonna put them in the tier and say all good. So yeah, Smoke, you can delay an attack. He's got a really good SMG, great shotgun, and you can use your side SMG, which I would recommend doing with the shotgun rather than the main one, but you can do the main one too and be in a pretty good spot. Mute, same thing, but he is in my opinion, better than the other two. Why? Because he denies information through drones, which is very, very important in the game. A lot of people, for some reason, don't use drones too much. I could use them more to be often. Um, in fact, I'd say he's probably one of the lower tier greats as well, actually. Very, very useful operator. All the British operators in the game, very, very good in each of their own way. If you took each operator based on a country as a collective group, Britain probably has the best ones. Um, Ash, so her gun is very, very good if you know how to control it. Her utility can be useful, but it can also be very useless at times. And basically, the main point of being Ash for a lot of people is if you're just going to rush and try and catch people off guard, but eventually they're going to adjust to that in most games, unless you're dealing with a really, really bad team. Um, I am going to say Ash is just under Thatcher here and good. A lot of people love this operator, but I just don't think it's excuse me, general abilities are all that great, and uh, the gun is good, speed is good, but there's easy ways to get around it. Placing Legion Goo mines, frost traps, um, basically any kind of defender trap can work pretty well against him. Thorn as well, if you place your thorn traps well, though I think they're pretty weak. So yeah, I'm just gonna put in under Thatcher under Ash under Thatcher in the good tier for now. Thermite is at least, well, it depends on how you play with them. Either I'd say you could be the absolute worst I would put it at is right under Sledge under Great. But if it's in the hands of a very good player, it's going to be one of the low to mid tier greats. So for fairness, I'm going to put it at the top of Great for now. Might readjust it later, but depending on the situation, it can be worse for your team than Sledge, or it can be better. Um, Especially if you're running with a good Thatcher, things can turn out well. Castle. So Castle, I used to think if we were doing a letter system here, I would used to think he was a C. The gun feels kind of weak. With the UMP, the shotgun is one of the better-ish kind of ones in the game, but still, but now with ACOG, I feel like Castle's taken a significant jump. If I ranked it in the past, it probably would have been in mid, because the panels that he places for Castle are very, very useful. They slow down a lot of attacks and actually a lot of the time lead to victories, because so many players on other teams, unless you're playing against really high ranking players, are basically just being pussies and trying to avoid combat even though they're on the attack. So in the past I would have put it on mid above Deimos. I would have put it back then, but now having ACOG and the other equivalent sites, I'm actually going to put it at the lower part of Great. It's not as good as Mute. Um, in fact, here I want to readjust Mute with Sledge. Thinking that over, I think Mute is slightly more useful, especially since you're on defense with it. Pulse. Pulse, you have to have a very good player. I'm going to put that in under some use. You can have good pulse players. It's just hard to find, and usually before you're going to get too much use from him, enemies are probably already going to be swarming the bomb point or close to it. He needs some work, in my opinion. I don't think his utility works all that great, and I don't play him much, but he can be useful in the hands of a good player. Really, any operator can. It's just a matter of what operator is worth playing more. Twitch used to be one of the best operators in the game. Her gun was amazing. she could use drones to harm gadgets in the starting phase, which I think was the best part of it. You could also use it to zap players. In my opinion, she's just been severely weakened with her firearm adding a bunch of extra recoil and removing some of the attachments. Not having her be able to do anything in the startup phase is really annoying. I think she should still be able to use in the startup phase her Twitch drones to zap uh the other team's traps and uh gadgets in general. Sorry, for some reason the word gadget was black in my head, even though I've used it a few times. Um, the recoil has really made the gun annoying. I feel like they could add one Twitch drone back and then add back the vertical grip. Uh while keeping the nerf to the recoil in check, or maybe even nerfing it after getting that vertical grip back a little more, just so Twitch isn't insane like she used to be. I feel like the game, the Siege devs just kind of nerf certain operators into the ground while keeping other ones great, and they've done it to Twitch. Though I don't understand why classes like Thermite are permanently pretty much very, very OP. So, I would have put Twitch in um, very good. It would have probably actually been the top if it had everything it used to be, or it would be in the lower part of great. But as things are now, I feel like it is below Deimos. In fact, I think you could argue it's probably only going to be at the top of some use in that general group. Um, so I'm going to do that for now. Monton, so with the rework, shield operators are very good. They can get exposed somewhat, but they're still very, very good like they've always been, but they get to reload still behind cover and amongst other things. Um, I am going to say Monton because there are more weaknesses for shields now. Shields are not as OP compared to what they used to be because there used to not be an absolutely huge collection of operators to counter them, but now that has grown quite significantly. So they've lost a bit of luster in that regard. Um, I'm gonna put them bottom of good for now. Might readjust later. Uh, Doc. So with adding Thunderbird in, Doc is not as useful, but Thunderbird's weakness, which is the mission leaving the healing stations. Thunderbird puts down vulnerable. Um, it still makes Thunderbird not exactly a class people want to play, and she is not played that often. Doc is still played more compared to Thunderbird, but I feel like Doc is still played less, far more than Doc used to be. But I still think because of the great selection of weapons, the P90, the shotgun, the MP5, that Doc is at least kind of in the area of Thatcher. Because Ash's ability is less useful. Um, Smoke actually, I think, needs to move up above Ash. They're basically interchangeable in my opinion, the two. But Smoke can hold off areas of attack in Avenue, so or he rather is a bit more useful than Ash. Rook. So Rook now with the armor plates, like Rook already had a pretty decent ability ever since this game was released, giving you more health via the armor, and that still applies. But now everyone who puts on the armor can pick themselves up if they get down, which gives you a second chance, which is very, very useful. I'm going to put Rook, I think, yeah, right above Castle. They're kind of interchangeable in my opinion as well. They're both very good at the great selection. Glaz, it's only very extremely very good now in the hands of a player who can use the sniper rifle in regular kind of combat inside of buildings. Um or in the hands of a very competent player. Um, in most cases, he's kind of trash indoors. He can be useful from outdoors, but a lot of people, when they know a Glaz is on the other team, are not going to peek and they're going to force him to move forward. You will really have to rely if you're playing on as Glaz and another team is not being aggressive because they know you have a Glaz on your team. You really have to hope you can rely on your other teammates, and that usually does not happen. 98%, maybe even more, of your teammates are perpetually trash in the game, and can't be relied upon for shit. So I'm going to say mid. I'm getting a lower end of mid. Um, Fuse. Um, you have such a great selection for attacking. The only issue is you make a lot of noise and are kind of slow. But if you have a competent team and you have good aim, you're gonna just shred people. I'm going to say Fuse is top of good to lower tier great. I feel like Castle is still better though because it gives you an avenue to completely like dominate the map if your team plays well. Even if you don't have a great team and you play Castle, you can really mess up the other team. Capkin, he gets banned now quite a bit. I don't particularly understand why. Probably because people don't want to use their drones, but if people are actually playing the game as they should and doing their due diligence by scouting with their drones, they're gonna notice the traps unless a player who uses it is very creative. Even then, there's still a chance to see it. I don't think he's too crazy in terms of anything special, but he is still very good. I'm gonna say he's right above Smoke. Um, I just feel like everything Smoke does, the reason he's in good in a class like Mute, who is similar in everything except the ability, is Mute's utility is way, way more useful in on a regular basis. Um, you typically need Mute's ability more than you need Smoke's. You can definitely win and defend well without Smoke, but with him too works. Tachanka, just because the fire lasts so long, it's decent. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the gun. The ability, I'm gonna put him right under glass. I just don't think he's that great. I don't really think he ever was. He's usable, but not amongst the great classes. Blitz, Blitz can be a nightmare in the hands of a very, very good player, but typically he's just a bit of a pain in the ass. And since there's more counters to shields, like I said with Monton, um, Monton, if you work together, teammates can really clamp down on the attack and give protection to players planting. Blitz really can't do that. I'm going to put him right under Monton in the good phase. Um, he can be useful. I think he's from top mid to um, right under Monty and good. IQ, in my opinion, um, it's not a crazy amount, but needs a rework. Um, Her ability to take out gadgets through soft wall is pretty good, but not many people use her. In the way it's done, I feel like needs some work there. The with when you have Caviera or Pulse going around, you are not going to be in a great scenario because typically, even though her ability can pick up on Pulse when he uses his, usually that's not how things go. Most of the time, in my experience, IQ ends up dying to Pulse, even though she has the thing to track him regardless. It just doesn't work very well, especially when you get to higher ranks in Siege. It basically has really no use. I feel like IQ's gun selection is pretty good, but her ability is just not really worth it at all. There's many other operators to take in comparison. Jaeger used to be one of the strongest operators in the game back in the day when Jaeger had ACOG. Now, it also I could be wrong. I don't think they ever nerfed the damage on his gun. But to me it feels like over time, very slowly but surely, there's been less and less reason to use him. He still is a decent amount of time, maybe like half of the games I play, someone takes him very consistently, but I just don't feel like he is nearly as good as he used to be. And the fact that he only gets 3 of his Jaeger mines, well, Fuse now has 4 charges, um, can really put him at his team at a disadvantage. There's other stuff you can kind of do to deal with Fuse now, like having active flankers to make sure Fuse is killed pretty quickly, or some of the maps is the maps too, especially the new ones seem to be just bigger and bigger now to a really dumb degree. You can kind of avoid the bomb room, and everyone fucking roams. Every idiot thinks they're fucking Jesus and is gonna hit everything. Um, Jaeger's good, but I feel like he's only a bit better than Montagne right now. Um, you can definitely use him and do good. There's some players who are insane with him. I just don't think he's that great anymore. I used to love him. He used to be my favorite defensive operator, but I just don't think he's that great now. Bandit, you can bandit trick. In my opinion, the only way Cade or Kaid or however you want to say his name, outdoes Bandit is because he can throw his gadgets at the top of the wall connecting to a gate or or a wall, and or the top part of a wall, just to block off the enemy from hard breaching. Um, I feel Bandit does pretty much most stuff better than Cade, though I think Cade has better weapons. I just think the utility is better for him, for Bandit, especially in the hands of a good coordinated team. You can do very well with Bandit, and so I am going to put Bandit. I think him and Smoke are basically mixable. You can argue that either one is better than the other. I personally prefer Smoke's weapon, and the gadget is works basically between the two. Buck Buck has always been a good operator. I'm going to say it is great, but it's under Castle. You can hit soft floor under enemy teams if they're on an appropriate site with a bunch of soft floor. You will make the team freak out. They will run off site or send someone down to try and flank and kill you, exposing them to danger and potentially getting them killed. Um, he can be a very big godsend. His weapon is pretty good. It has a bit extreme recoil, but it's still pretty controllable. Um, yeah, I just feel like he's one of the great operators. Now, Frost. Frost, you used to hit his traps and you would die right away. Now they've made it so it, or sorry, no, it would just cripple you right away, and you couldn't force your way out of the trap, but now you can force yourself on your own out of the trap. You used to need a teammate to get out of it. I really do not like that change. It makes Frost weak. And then when it exposes your both you and your teammates possible danger when you say, oh, someone got caught in my frost trap on A window or B window, and they push and they end up getting killed by the guy because he's picked himself up, or because his teammate is ready and waiting for you to get there to kill you. Um, that's weakened him, though. I'm glad they have ACOG on him and other stuff back, but I still think the trap being weak like that is very, very annoying. Um, I'm going to say above Ash. Still a good operator, but that thing is very annoying, honestly, and it's led to less people playing Frost. You can tell, even though Frost wasn't one of the operators that was played a crazy ton before. Blackbeard's shield on his gun basically means jack all now. I played a match recently. It took one shot from side angle, and the shield burst, and the bullet went through, and I died. The shield isn't really worth much. The guns are decent, but the assault rifle suffers from a low amount of ammo, being only 21, and the other rifle is good, but everyone would want to go with faster firing rate. So, I'm gonna say Blackbeard is above Glaz and mid. I don't think he's that great anymore. Valkyrie is um very good on a team who knows what they're doing, but she is ass on typical regular lobbies. I'd say you're only gonna have really good Valkyrie players if you're playing on a rank of plat or above, because most people are idiots and just consistently mark with your cams. It is infuriating. In fact, I want it to be reworked so the only one who can use the red marks on the cameras is the person playing as Valkyrie themselves. Other people should be able to use them and then use the regular ping system, but that would solve a bunch of headaches, making Valkyrie better. Um, Valkyrie shotgun, annoyingly, it feels like the recoil is extreme. I don't enjoy particularly using it, though I will use it from time to time. And the fact that any idiot can basically just ruin your game by using the cameras in the way they have it set up is very annoying. The MPX is a decent gun, but I feel like it could do a little more damage. I'm gonna say some use. It's better than Twitch right now, in my opinion. But if you have someone who's really dumb, just as a teammate, you basically have to suffer through them because of how the ability works, and it really gets on my nerves, and it's been that way forever. But I feel like they really need to rework it so that the only one who can use the red ping while on Val cams is Val. Um, Most people aren't willing or too dumb to understand that you can do regular pings, and they have number now, so eh. And most teammates are, unless they're really stupid, are gonna have some idea that, oh, you keep pinging something on it. Clearly, there's an enemy there. I don't like the marking. I think the ping should be the only option for other players, apart from the person playing Val. Capitao, is a confusing one because can be very good. I like both of Capitao's main weapons. The ability can use to either provide cover or to get people out of a certain area. It can just be really hard to use depending on the scenario. I'm going to say I think better than Ash. In fact, I think better than Frost. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Um, Nothing game changing, but still can help a lot when you have a decent Capitao player. Caveira, so this suffers from the same issue as Val. People in lower ranks, idiots. Um, and yeah, just it's mostly played by idiots who uh have a ego and want to stroke themselves off. It can be very, very good. Like it can be anywhere on between some use at like this. I think is its worst spot, but it could honestly go to the top spot under the best if you have a very good player playing as them. But I feel like on an average scenario, considering most people are idiots, um, the main gun is a bit weak, but still somewhat okay. The pistol is really strong. The main fact it can reveal everyone on the enemy team, though, pushes it up. Um, I feel like, yeah, right there's about the highest I can put it in good conscience right now. If it's a really good player playing as Caveira, then it can be the best, but Usually that's not the case, so that's why I'm putting it in there under good for now. Hibana, I do not see be played that much anymore, and it's kind of understandable because Thermite always been good, pretty good guns, easily controllable with when it comes to recoil, pretty good ability. Hibana's got a bit of recoil to deal with, but if you get used to it, you can be pretty good. But Ace basically does the same thing, and it does it in a better way now, so you don't see Hibana use as much. But Hibana is still a good operator. I would put Hibana under Thatcher. Oop, sorry. Um, but this is coming from my opinion. I like using her, and her utility is pretty good. You can, um, unlike Ace now, though, open up smaller holes by using fewer of Hibana's charges, so that can actually be very useful depending on the scenario. Echo can be clutch, but most of the time is not. Um, it can totally save your game. If you got one guy left and you're vastly outnumbered and he's played smart and has found a good hiding spot, he can keep hitting the enemy with his Echo drone. But in an average scenario, I feel like he is probably, yeah, just better than Ash. But a bit worse than Frost, I'd say, is accurate because Frost gets 8 cog, Echo doesn't. Jackal, everyone bans him all the time. His ability is very, very useful. There's a reason he's the most banned operator, like permanently, is because how his ability works. It tracks everyone on the other team for everyone on your team. I feel like the way to fix him is pretty obvious, but it seems like Ubisoft doesn't want to do that. Um, it would be, in my opinion, just making his tracking ability the way it is now, but only allow it to function for him. Plus, the fact his guns are both very good and both have pretty much no recoil. The shotgun's decent, but I think the assault rifles are better. But he is pretty darn good right now. Needs a nerf. He's good like always. Um, Even most horrible players can do decent with him. If he's not banned. Mira heavy operator, good for information, but now that you can block information by just dealing even just damage to the Mira windows compared to the past where you had to fully destroy them to block off enemy view from you. Or zap the or shoot the red part of the thing. Uh Mira window. Mira. I feel like Mira's in between them. Mira's not really necessary to win, and I kind of feel like most of the time people playing Mira kind of get greedy and act like idiots and kind of ruin the defensive structure of the site because they want a soft wall in an area that should be reinforced at all times. I encounter it quite a bit, so I'd say in between Blitz and Monton is about right. Um, Mira can be better, but I feel like its peak is literally just above Monton. I feel like that's about right. Ying can be very, very game changing if you have a right scenario. I have had games where I've played several rounds on them and the map just does not work well. For my team, based on what they're doing, and we're not using Ying, then I switch to Ying, use her ability, or someone else does, and we start winning because of it, because the enemy just plays dumb, or we are able to blind them so much because of how many Candelas Ying has. Ying has one of the best guns in the game, and I am going to put Ying right above Castle, I believe. Rook's armor, the fact that it can allow everyone on the team to be picked up, I think slightly outdoes the Candela, but I think you can argue that Ying is right up there with Rook. Lesion, you used to have markers to see which Lesion trap would be stepped on, and it was pretty good for spotting enemies. I am really annoyed and have been ever since that got taken away, though um, at the time, just solely because of that fact, because the information it gives, it would have gone from either the top of great or even gone in the best tier. Um, but I feel like with the way it is now, um, the gun is still good and the operator um is still decent, but I think it's just gonna go above Fuse. Um yeah, I'd say that's about right. Under the great tier. Lesion going in that spot. Zofia, so Zofia used to pick herself up with what was it, 150 health. Um Zofia's basically another Ashe, interchangeable kind of with Ashe, but slightly better because of the stun grenades. Plus, gets the same amount of shots for its regular utility to blow up soft wall. So I'm going to say Zofia is just better than Ashe. They're basically interchangeable. I enjoy playing both. Ela, so a lot of people have hard time controlling the recoil on the gun. It was nerfed quite significantly because of how overpowered Ela was when she came out. Though I still think, in my opinion, the recoil is actually pretty controllable, and the ability to stun attackers coming into a key area and the noise it makes to let your team know where that person is coming from is very underrated. Ela is going to be better than Buck, in my opinion. I like playing her a lot. She's one of my favorite defenders. Dokkaebi, a pain in the ass. Pretty darn good weapons. Um, can hack cameras, though enemies, if they suspect something like that's been done, or your teammate's like an idiot. Suffers from the same issue as Valkyrie. Gets to every idiot can mark stuff. I'd say if you applied the fix I mentioned to Valkyrie to make it so only the user gets to use their typical red mark to mark people, I'd say you need to apply that to Dokkaebi as well, so people don't give away the fact that you are using cameras. Very good. One of the most banned operators. Um, I'm going to say, because of how it works for the team, basically interchangeable with Ying. I'm going to say just under Ying. Vigil is for the idiots who want to roam, act like they're hot shit. It's fine to roam every now and again, but people who all they do is roam get killed, and basically all he can do is hide from drones, but it's not even that great because the attacking team can tell what room he is in and then narrow it down. And if their coordination is good, they're going to kill him. Even if he takes down one person, it's not that great. His guns are decent. Though I don't think the one tap shotgun sniper rifle thing that he essentially uses is all that great. Dokkaebi has it as well. I don't think it is that great of a weapon unless it's in the hands of a very, very good player. I'm going to say Vigil just because the weapons are what they are, somewhat sneakily good. I'm gonna put him right above Monton. Actually, no, Monton's a bit more useful overall. So right under Monton. In the good tier, in the lower part of the good tier. Lion, so very, I'd say well put together operator, not quite broken, kind of used to be. His ability is very useful, very good. Not the greatest though. I think he is better than Thatcher though. I think he takes the top spot at good for now. Finka, really like her. Her ability gives health to teammates. I believe it still helps their accuracy, and a lot of people find the recoil on the assault rifle to be kind of crazy. It's the same assault rifle Thunderbird uses, but I find it very easy to control myself, and I like having the grenades, and I like the gadgets in general Finka gets to use. Um, I feel like Finka is basically better than, yeah, Finka's better than Dokkaebi, and actually I feel like Castle's better than Dokkaebi. I'm gonna place that. Um, Maestro, so he can annoy the hell out of you if he's in the hands of a good player, or um if the thing I'm confused about thinking it over is I don't think the assault rifle is all that great in my opinion. that Maestro uses. Um, though I really like the shotgun. He can be a big pain in the ass. I'm gonna put Maestro right under Legion, I think. To me, that's fitting. I prefer Legion. Um, but Maestro is pretty close. Alibi can. Alibi's gun is good. The ability can get people marked from time to time if they're shooting through a wall that they don't know there's any alibi gadgets on. But typically, now because people are used to how the ability works, they don't really get fooled by it a lot. Um, I'm gonna put Alibi in the mid tier under Deimos. Maverick needs a rework. Um, Maverick can be good, but most of the time is going to get shot when opening holes unless he does it in a really unorthodox place. I think is kind of mediocre. It can have some use, but I feel like it needs a bit of a more of a touch up. The guns are pretty good though. I'll give it that. You see players playing it from time to time, but not too much. Clash, good SMG, annoying ass ability to counter. Some people are gonna say, "Oh, it's easy, you just run up and smack." But in a lot of cases, if you have a smart Clash player, they're not gonna give you the opportunity so you can run up and just smack their shield. They're going to draw you in and typically let their teammates kill you with precise call-ins. And if you're going up against a very good team, it is a pain to deal with. There's obvious ways around it, like Capital is a pretty clear counter if you get a good scenario to use your launcher against Clash, but it really depends on your luck. Um, can be very, very annoying in the hands of a good player. I'm gonna put it under Capkin, I think. Um, Nomad, I've gotten killed a few times by the ability, but you're gonna generally hear it when it's being used, and most of the time you can come up with an alternative to get rid of the Nomad ability, though Nomad has pretty darn good guns. Um, I'm going to say, and I could see why someone would put Nomad in great, but for me personally, I think yeah, right under line fits. I think it's in good. Cade, so can be very useful, but can be countered by Twitch if you get a good scenario, though it's hard because so many people protect the barrier, especially in the first minute and a half of the game. They're gonna notice if you are droning the area typically in that span. So you have to try and sneakily come in to get rid of it, and by then people are already kind of set up with how they're gonna go into which area of the map. So Kate can be very annoying, but only has two throwables, so can definitely be countered if you play Thatcher properly. Um, I'm gonna say it's better than Hibana. It's right there with Thatcher because of how they basically are forced to counter each other. I feel like that's about accurate. Gridlock is one of my favorites. In fact, you can completely cut off roamers basically if you play her right. Her guns are all very, very useful. To be honest, I'm gonna put her in the great tier. I think she's really underrated. Love her ability, her guns too. One of the fastest reloading LMGs in the game that is very, very deadly. In the right hands, I feel that like that's a good spot. Mozzie, the P10 Roni, I'm starting to grow on a little bit, though I feel like it has too few rounds in the gun, and I'm not a big fan of the Commando gun. Though I see people use it from time to time, but mostly Mozzie's main thing is catching drones, but the drones aren't always necessary to getting win. And I believe Thatcher's EMP grenades a counter Mozzie. Mozzie, hmm. I feel like Mozzie is just better than Ash, and honestly, because of Zofia having stun grenades, I feel like, and the ACOG, I feel like she slightly moves up past Echo. So Nook can be useful from time to time, but generally the ability is not that great. Cameras can still tell where you are. Has the same SMG as Smoke. Decent, but does nothing really too special. I feel like Nook is just a little better than Blackbeard. Warden basically can only deal with flash grenades and the like. Has the MPX, which is okay. Um, doesn't have a good that great of a scope anymore. I feel like a rework is in order. I feel like Warden's basically maybe a little better than Maverick, but just a little. I think they're about the same in terms of quality they bring to the team, which a lot of times is not too much. Um, Amaru. Amaru is literally the most like overrated operator. It's just for full on rush. And if you don't scout well, which most people don't, they get killed very quickly. Some people can sneak in and yeah, wreck the other team, but it typically doesn't happen. Um, I honestly want to say rework, but does have some use. I'm gonna put her under pulse. There for now. Um, Goyo, he is very decent for blocking off areas, and especially since fire from his mines lasts quite a bit. If this is happening right at the end of the game, you can totally save yourself some several rounds. Um, his guns are pretty decent. I'm gonna say I'm gonna put him. Hmm, I think he's better generally now a lot of the time than Jaeger is. I wish Jaeger wasn't nerfed as much as he was. Really used to love playing him. Kali, so Kali's better than Glaz. I'm just gonna get that right out of the gate. Though snipers suffer from the same issue, which is not very good in personal combat, but Kali does have a pretty good SMG. I'm gonna put Kali above Blackbeard, yeah. Um, because she can get rid of gadgets. In fact, I'm gonna put her above Nook. Um, Alibi, I feel like the SMG is a bit better than anything Kali can do, though. But she can get rid of electronic gadgets and really help your team out if Thatcher got screwed over. So Wamai, very good. Like all of his guns. Um, his throwing discs can really help you if done used properly, and even if they don't like throw back someone's grenade and kill them, they can still make it so the enemy team has a harder time pushing sight because they can't blind you, smoke you, and amongst other things. So um um in fact, I like it enough that I'd say right there above Clash. And I feel like I'm going to move Mozzie back too, because I actually feel like thinking about it, Ash and Goyo are better. Um, Iana, she can be very useful for information if you can get her in sight. If it's against a good team, though, they're going to shoot it right away and you might not get any information, but she's got pretty good guns, and the fact it helps you get that information you need, to me, puts her basically right under Womai. Works. Um, he can jump through hatches, bash through soft, always good maybe for catching you off guard from time to time, but he's really slow to recover after he bashes through a wall, and his gun is good, but honestly, I feel like he's mm, worse than Warden. Yeah, he needs a rework. Uh, Slightly, like a slight one, then he could go up to good, I'd say. But Ace amongst the best. In fact, I'm gonna move Thermite. Well, Thermite. Thermite has really good guns, and so does he, but he has more placement and more room for maneuverability when attacking a site, and is just all around generally pretty good. I think he might even outdo Gridlock. Yeah. Um, Malusi, one of my favorite defenders, slows down the attack. They have to get close and bash it, and they draw attention to themselves by making noise to do so and get themselves killed. And Malusi has very good weapons, so I'm gonna put Malusi above Mute. Um, Zero decent weapons, but his cameras get shot out all the time. Um, if they had some kind of protection to them, it would be very useful. Um, but I think the ability needs a bit more work. I feel like right above Frost. Actually, no, right under, because Frost gets ACOG and defense, which is really helpful. Um, Aruni, she has her gates. She's got both her guns are pretty decent. I feel like the P Roni is a lot better on for a defensive operator than it is an attacker one. She can punch holes in walls quick to set up a good route to stop opposing teams from pushing hard. And her gates do that as well. Plus, you typically have to force the enemy to waste one of their gadgets in order to get the gate to stop working, and it does come back after time, which is very useful. So I'm going to put her. I'm going to put her right under Maestro in the Great tier. Flores, you can. So the basic idea is using a drone to do on the attack what where is he? What Ram does. And she, I mean. Um Destroying soft wall to make the enemy force the enemy into moving position and try and run away. Um Flores is guns are pretty good. I just feel like Ram basically does it better, and your drones are going to get shot all the time. You have to hope you get lucky enough to get them onto the soft wall you want, and hope that defenders don't have most of the key walls to blow up already reinforced. If it were against hard breach, but maybe had fewer drones, I think would actually be a better alternative. So maybe having two drones but can hard breach walls would be preferable in my opinion. Um, um, yeah, I think right there is about right for Flores. Thunderbird, so Doc is better. Not even gonna start a debate on that. Doc is better because all of Thunderbird's mines that she can place down, health mines, to heal the team can be destroyed. Yeah, they regenerate, but it's not good enough. I think her gun is arguably probably about as good as Doc's, though I think Doc's is a bit better. I still think Thunderbird can be good, but those destroyable mines is a big pain in the ass, especially if Twitch player comes in play and they're still somewhat decent. So I feel like I'm going to put Thunderbird right under Deimos. Osa. She has quickly become one of my favorite attackers in the game because you can carry her shield, her glass like encasing as if it's a shield, protect yourself from frontal shots. Yeah, you'll probably take a little bit of damage. Um, unless you're playing Osa wrong, but Osa has helped me clutch a lot of games. One of the better operators in the game. In fact, I'd argue probably better than Thermite. She's yeah, high grade tier. There are some exploits around like using C4 and other things, but Osa's very very good operator. Thorn ability sucks as it is now. You can easily run away. It's only very good if you have the site in question tied down by a few players, and they don't really, when an enemy jumps in and they don't really have anywhere to run away from the trap. The traps themselves are crap. The SMG can be crap at times, but it can also be good at others. Um, I'm going to say under Blitz in the good tier is where I put it. Azami, great defender, creates a lot of cover points or points you can use to essentially go on the offensive while defending. Very good gun. This is going to go under great tier. Can be used for a lot of different kind of strategies. And she gives you a lot of cover insight. I'm going to put her better than Finka, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Azami is my favorite operator to come into the game in quite a while. Sens, so I love his weapons, but his ability doesn't really mean crap, especially in close quarters combat. You're going to make noise, and if a player knows what they're doing and can hear properly, they're going to probably kill you through your smoke regardless. Though you can use it to get some clutches. I'm just gonna put I think he's better than yeah, I think he's better than Thorn. Um Grim, I think his ability could use a wider range, and his guns are okay, but well, nah, the guns are pretty good. I just think he needs a rework. Um, yeah, I'd say he could potentially even use one more than Maverick. I think his gadget that he deploys with those flies that go around and mark players that walk into them, I think they either need a wider range or they need to be able to slightly move around in a general smallish kind of area to make up for some of the stuff. So if players nearby, they can lock onto them and move maybe. So it can give more information to the attackers. It's basically a far, far weaker like Jackal. And if Jackal's available, why not pick him? Or you could use Lion to essentially do the same kind of thing in just in a different way. Solus is really strong. Gives basically information where players are approaching from. Never scan with his ability, just use it to find out where drones are and players are coming from. It is very strong, and I am going to say just because there is a bit of recoil from the gun, I'm going to say it's just a bit better than Melusi, but it's weaker than Thermite. Um, Brava in some ways can be good, but the drones can get just destroyed just as easily as others. I kind of wish that maybe they had the ability to take maybe one more bullet compared to regular drones. That would actually make them kind of effective, unless people are firing an assault rifle. But against like automatic rifles like Dokubi's rifle that is shared with Aruni, I think it would allow them to potentially, in some cases, get past defenders and allow them to convert over the defender's electronic traps like she already does. I think that would make it better. Weapons are okay. Can be pretty decent. But because the drone issue, I think she comes in as like the second mid. Fenrir, overpowered ability, lasts for quite a while, makes everything purple. Uh, Fenrir is a very, very good op. Gets banned for a reason. Its ability is pretty strong. I feel like it's in the right hands, just under Thermite, maybe just above. You can make an argument for how good it is to switch them around. Ram as an attacker, so if you're attacking a site and there's quite a few areas with soft wall, you're gonna have a good time using him. You can destroy floor above defenders and shoot them below, or you can use it on the floor above. Um, to shoot them from above or below. Sorry, is how I should have said it. Um, it has the same gun as Ash, which is a very, very good gun in the right hands and is very good control, but is slower. Um, I think is better than Ash though, and in fact, it's been growing on me quite a bit recently. Um, I think I'd say right under Cade is about right. Pretty good. I wouldn't say great tier. Tubarão can really slow down the game, help defenders. Has an MPX, but also has its rifle with the ACOG, which is pretty good. Um, Tubarão, I feel like would be absolutely great if his ability worked more like Lesion, so that his frost gadget would slowly regen into your inventory. I think would be a better way to have him, because just having the three, uh, it, if a team can outweight him and then just force their way into sight, it can make him seem more mediocre. I think Tubarão is. Because the nature of his ability, I think he's just above Smoke. Yeah, I'd say that's about accurate. That is my tier list for Rainbow Six Siege operators for Year 9 Season 1. Um, yeah, I feel like this is pretty darn accurate to how things are in game. I feel just like the bottom operators all really need a rework, and the ones under some use need a rework as well. Not as much, but still. In fact, I think I'm gonna put Maru. I need to readjust. I think Maverick's better than Oryx, and Amaru is worse than Oryx. Yeah, I think that's about right. Um, actually, I feel like Amaru's the worst op in the game. Oop. Yeah, I feel like that's about right. Um, Tell me what you guys think. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps out this channel. I'm gonna start making videos regularly. I made videos before, and it took me months to get back into the swing of things, but I feel like I'm ready for it now. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please comment, leave a like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon in Siege for some live streams, as well as some YouTube videos. So, peace, guys. Oh, video doesn't want to... There we go.